We're asked to factor this polynomial. Technically, it's not a quadratic, it's a quartic. We can see here that that's to the 4th degree. So this here is a quartic, but it looks kind of like a quadratic. So remember, a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so we can probably kind of fudge this, especially because this is a perfect square and this is a perfect square. So I'm going to check out the process and see if it works. The first thing I have to look at is, do I have a greatest common factor? So I'm looking here. I have x to the 4th, x squared y, and 6y squared. The answer is no. I have none. I can't take a y out of here, I can't take an x out of here, and my numbers are just 1. Okay, so that means let's see if we can factor it like a quadratic. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this up for our grouping. So if you remember, we're going to multiply our first times our last. So that gives us negative 6 x to the 4th y squared. And then our center is negative x squared y. So if this does not work, that means we can't factor it. So let's find our factors of x to the 4th. Our factors of x to the 4th are x squared times x squared, and our factors of y squared is y times y. So I know here I'm going to have x squared y, x squared y. Oops, I didn't leave enough room for the number there. Okay, so you can see that we simply took the set, and notice here x squared y, so that's a good hint that that's what that should be. So now what are we doing? We're going to look for our factors of negative 6 that add up to negative 1. So I know I have 1 times negative 6. I have 2 times negative 3. I can stop right there because I know 2 plus negative 3 is going to give me negative 1. So that means I can I'm going to put the negative 3 on this side and the 2 on this side. It really doesn't matter which way you put it. So all I'm working for is this in yellow, because I need to replace this middle term with 2 terms. So I'm going to copy down my x to the 4th, then I'm going to go right to here, so negative 3x squared y plus 2x squared y minus 6y squared. Okay, so the only thing I replaced was that minus x squared y. So one point I want to make is, notice that this exponent's a 4. Half of 4 is 2. Notice this exponent is a 2. Half of 2 is 1. We don't write it, but we understand that that has an exponent of 1. So this is one reason why I know I can maybe force it to do a quadratic thing. So now that I have 4 terms, I can break it into 2 parts. So I'm going to look here and see what is it that I have in common. Well, I have an x to the 4th and I have an x squared. So this here is the only thing I can take out of both. So this is an x squared, no numbers, no y's. So that means that factors out, and I can't throw it away, to x squared. Now I'm going to divide. X to the 4th divided by x squared is x squared. And x squared divided by x squared gives me 1, so I'm left with negative 3y. So now I look at this side and I ask myself, what can I factor out here? Well, both share a factor of 2. Both share a y. So that means I can factor out a plus 2y. That plus is important. And so now I'm going to go ahead and divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Y divided by y is 1. So I'm just left with x squared. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Y squared divided by y gives me y. So if we notice, what's inside the parentheses is exactly the same. This is one number. This is the same one number, which means now I can divide out x squared minus 3y So I'm going to divide out x squared minus 3y. So I need to recognize that this is the same number, so that divides out to 1. This is the same number, so that divides out to 1. So I'm left with x squared plus 2y. And I have just factored.